marker and bandit setting. And it's much harder to do exploration. Right? There's one of the key challenges in this reinforcement learning, how do you do efficient exploration? Because actions impact the future states, you get this branching of states, right? And that's an exponential sort of explosion in the search space of possible exploration trajectories. Okay, the last topic I want to talk about in detail is non-convex optimization.
Quick thing.
Yeah.
How long did that take to train?
So after they figured out the hyperparameters, they used a deep neural network to map a convolutional neural network to map screen captures to reward functions, right? And they used exploration to construct the training set of screen captures and a reward, right? So you do exploration, collect training samples, then you train a deep convolutional neural network on that sample. The whole process after they did tuning, like how often do exploration, what's the architecture of the neural network, took 48 hours. But probably the whole tuning thing took a lot longer, you know. Okay, the last topic I want to talk about in detail from the last like 5-10 minutes or so is non-convex optimization, right? So let's look back to hidden Markov models, right? So this is a hidden Markov model. It's specified as a generative model in this with this sort of decomposition, right? Then we're going to talk about training hidden Markov models, right? So what we discussed in class is the EM algorithm for unsupervised learning of hidden Markov models. So we have these A and O matrices that represents the probability tables, and then we sort of initialize, and then we sort of fix one and estimate the other one, fix the Y's, and then train the best new A and O, and then we repeat, right? This is sort of this alternating optimization problem. This is a non-convex optimization problem. EM is only guaranteed to converge to a local optimal, right? So here's the question: can we train HMMs optimally and tractably optimally for a non-convex optimization problem? Okay, the answer is yes. And to figure out, to see how that happens, we're going to draw some inspiration from dimensionality reduction. Okay, so this is should be a familiar optimization problem to you now. Is we have some big matrix Y, it's n by m, and we want to find the best rank k approximation to Y, right? And specifically, we want to find a model of a low rank U matrix and a low rank V matrix such that Y UV transpose is close to Y, right? This is a non-convex optimization problem because the feasible region of the model is non-convex. But it's optimally solved by the singular value decomposition. But singular value decomposition completely, so if you were to solve this using gradient descent, like you initialize U and V randomly and you do gradient descent, or alternating gradient descent, you would converge to a local optimum. Right? But it's optimally solved by SVD. Because the SVD avoids the whole gradient descent, non-convexity of the optimization problem and exploits algebraic properties of this problem. Right? What are some algebraic properties of the solution to this problem? So if you know some algebraic properties of the solution of this problem, you can avoid gradient descent or these local EM update algorithms and just jump straight to the solution in closed form. Is that a question? Okay, so that's the inspiration, right? So based on that inspiration, people have developed a method what's called spectral learning. It can be applied now to a wide range of non-convex optimization problems. Here, I'll just give you a flavor of it for training HMMs. Right? So we want to estimate. What we want to estimate are these two tables, probability tables, or matrices, if you will, A and O. Right? That's what we want to estimate. So I'm going to call sigma superscript t the expected. So x is the. So we treat each x and y as indicator vectors. So if the input sequence has 100 tokens, then each x is an indicator vector of length 100 with a single 1 at one entry and 0 everywhere else. Right? They're indicator vectors. So, if we look at our training set, then we look at all adjacent pairs of x's and look at the expected value of their sort of co-occurrence, right? That's what this matrix gives you. I'll call that sigma t. And here t is, for t equals 1, this is adjacent. For t equals 2, this is 2 apart from each other. Look at every pair of x's, tokens, and sequences 2 apart from each other. And then estimate this basically co-occurrence matrix. So by sort of law of conditional expectation, it equals sort of this, right? Because these two are conditionally independent by the property of HMMs on given in Y, you can break it up into this. So you can break up this probability into, you could break up this expectation of products into product of expectations because they're conditionally independent. I'm going to write this. This expectation is basically this expectation over what Y is times, okay, that K is, pretend that K is not there, K is there. Okay. So this is just operating on the probability table, and this basically equals this, right? So you don't need to understand the details. The basic idea is that we could write these covariance matrices of pairs of adjacent or nearby tokens and sequences as this matrix operation, right? And so you could just, for example, you could write it like this, right? So these are moments, right? If you're familiar with the method of moments, these are moments of your training data, right? And this is something you can sort of construct from your training data, right? These covariance moments. And then you can, under the HMM assumption, it equals this product, right? Where A and the O are the ones you care about. And the A, for example, is rank K, right? It's a K by K matrix. And O is L by K, where L is the number of tokens. So this matrix is L by L, right? Okay. I'm not going to give you the derivation, but the optimal solution for A, in this case, is basically this, right? Where this is the rank K SVD of the sigma 1. It's optimal with a few caveats, but basically it's the optimal solution. And if you're interested in the full derivation, you could check out this tutorial on spectral learning. So this is great, right? I mean, it gives you the optimal solution. One of the problems is that this requires a lot of data, right? It requires estimating moments, right? You have to estimate sigma 2 and sigma 1, which can require a lot of moments. If you want to use this to estimate more complicated probabilistic models, so this method can be used to do optimal learning of a large class of probabilistic models. Some of them require estimating third order moments or fourth order moments, right? In order to estimate a third order moments to within 0.1 precision, it requires like n to the 6 training examples or something like that. Yeah.
So how do you solve it? You just dimensional integration?
Yeah, you just take your data, a sequence of x's, you construct these covariance matrices, right, of pairs or nearby things. You take the SVD of this thing, right, and then you just set your transition matrix as this, and you're done.
So,
But this will, yeah. Sorry, go ahead.
So if we do it like this, we are minimizing the forgiveness error when we do SVD to solve this problem. But in before, when we solve HMM, we minimize some object function. Is this two objective equivalent?
Right. So I was being a little bit imprecise. Let's say Y is actually low rank plus noise, right? So here, the spectral learner relies on the fact that your model is correct up to noise. Suppose Y was actually rank K plus noise. That's the scenario we're working. So here we're assuming that the model that generated this data is actually generated by a rank K HMM plus noise, where the noise comes
if the noise is not, then these two methods, will these two methods give you the same answer?
If the noise is what?
So if the
Which two
model
methods? I'm sorry.
error is not,
Which two methods?
the one is with gradient descent.
Gradient descent, we just select local optimum.
Yeah.
If you can somehow solve the objective function optimally, even though it's non-convex, then yes, it'll give you the same answer. The drawback of this approach is that it requires a lot of data, right? So it gives you the optimal answer assuming you've estimated this perfectly, right?
Okay. If we have finite data, in fact, their solution are different.
What people often do in practice is they use this as initialization and then they do EM afterwards.
Okay.
Yeah.
Seems like a low rank for your approximation or something like that. Just
Yeah.
isolation.
Question?
Taking the inverse, I'm assuming sigma is quite large, right?
Yeah,
Does that cause any issues of? No.
No, because U is quite small. So L could be like, you know, the size of your vocabulary, let's say it's 1 million.
Yeah,
And then U is rank K, let's say K is 10.
okay,
So this is actually the inverse of a 10 by 10 matrix.
okay.
Yeah. Okay, so that's all the topics I'm going to cover in any detail today. Obviously, there are a number of other topics I did not talk about, so I'll just spend 30 seconds on a few of these. Probabilistic models, we've seen just the tip of the iceberg in probabilistic models. There's an entire sort of area that, frankly speaking, I'm not really much of an expert in, so I can't comment too much about it. There's representation learning. Deep learning is the most visible example of representation learning. It's not the only example. Word2Vec, which we covered in lecture today, is also an instance of representation learning. Embeddings in general are instances of representation learning. There's causal reasoning. So everything we learn in class this term is really just correlation, right? Correlation does not equal causation. So how do you actually do causal reasoning, right? There's aspects of machine learning plus game theory. So for example, there are many machine algorithms that are deployed where the input to the prediction algorithm are self-reported things by end users. What if end users lie to you? What is the behavior of your model then? How do you incentivize end users not to lie to your machine learning algorithm? Right, so those types of questions sit at the intersection of machine learning and game theory. Other types of questions include privacy. Right? How do we train a machine learning algorithm that does not, in a way that we can't learn anything super specific about any individual person? Right? There's machine learning plus systems. Right? Large-scale machine learning is probably the hottest topic in the industry these days. How do you train these super high-dimensional models on lots of data quickly, right? And how do you do job scheduling if you're a company that has many teams trying to train all these different models on a single giant cluster, right? So these are questions at intersection of machine learning and systems. Okay, so that's basically the end of the class, the course. I just want to give a brief plug to the course I'm teaching next term, CS 159. It's the official title is Special Topics in Machine Learning. It's going to be taught from every spring term. The topics will rotate from year to year. For the upcoming term, the topic will be online learning, interactive machine learning, learning review, and feedback. The format of the class is paper reading and presentation plus a final project. So students will be required to come to class, engage in discussions, present papers, research papers, and then do a final research project. And that is the end of the class. So have fun with the mini project and have fun in the final.